Good afternoon, and we're in a very sunny Dalmally this afternoon, out on the platform to make the very best of the sunshine while it lasts here. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different, and yes, it's to do with promoting a new kit I've put together, which is how to felt a bar of soap. Now, I suppose the first question is, why would you want to? Lots of different reasons. We're being told all the time that we must wash our hands. We must constantly wash our hands. We must spend a long time washing our hands. And so the skin is getting a little bit dry in a lot of people's hands. A lot of the antibacterial liquids are quite hard on the hands. And so I'm going to give you an alternative, and this is something that's really lovely. You can either purchase them just as they are as a gift for somebody, or better still, you can actually learn to make them yourself. I've been accompanied today by several birds in the background, and that's a collared dove that's nesting here on the platform. So there may be the interlude of bird song in and out. This is a most beautiful soap that I have used for the last 15 years, and my hands are in soapy water every day, so it's really important to me that I care for my tools, and my tools are my hands. And so here we have a beautiful Scottish made soap. It's believed to be the oldest soapery in the British Isles, and it's Carney Soapery in Kirkintilloch. A lovely family business down there by the canal. They make a whole lot of ecological products. They also grow their own herbs, and it's a cold pressed soap, which is a little bit different from the process with a lot of the chemical soaps. And the oils that they use in them are quite natural. And they have a beautiful range. They even have nettle soap for people with psoriasis. And this one here is my secret weapon when I teach in a classroom situation with lots of boisterous children. The lavender soap is one of those things that you can just calm and just get that lovely good feeling. So back to the reason why we would do it. This comes as both a soap and a washcloth. So you could personalize for a family. Everybody would have their own felted soap, and they would use it maybe to wash their bodies. It could be used in the shower. Because it's cold pressed, sometimes these beautiful soaps tend to be a little bit liquidy. So this gathers the excess liquid that might be sitting on a sink or something like that. With the situation the way we are now, it would be important that one person would use their own soap. So possibly you could have a different colour for every member of the family. There's a whole range of different soaps to suit preferences, and of course a whole range of different colours. You can get very inventive. There's some great ideas with them. I've seen people needle felt onto the surface of it. You can do your patterns in all sorts of ways. You can even stitch, if that's your forte, onto the surface. So what happens when the soap's used up? Well, the physical action of rubbing the soap will felt it until it's really quite a small size, and as that soap shrinks, so does the felt. So you'll probably end up with something about this size. The soap will eventually be all used up, and you have a choice. You can cut out your little felted packet and use it for something special like a purse, or maybe for keeping coins in, or little treasures. Or you can just get a smaller soap and pop it in it. So how do we make these felted soaps? And the simplicity of this is just wonderful. I have a range of them here drying out in the sunshine. This one I particularly like. This is a rose soap kit, and I've done these lovely pinks and with a little bit of green with them. So little Robin just popped in here to say hello. Hello, Mr. Robin, how are you? It's gathering flies. That's a wonderful place here with the glass canopy. So how do I go about starting, and what's actually in this kit? The kit is very simply a net, And this net could be any kind of net. If you didn't choose to buy the kit, it could be a piece of net curtain, it could be a recycled vegetable bag, anything to protect the wool from you. So we get our bar of soap, and this one is lemongrass. It's really lovely, and this is some of the lemongrass colours that I've been making up in the kit. The one I made earlier is a lovely range of lemons and lime, and just that little shot of brown in there just to give it a little earthy tone. So this is ready to go as a made up soap, and this is the ingredients of how we're going to make it. The magical thing with this is that everything is about small quantities and fluffy. And if you do this with children, their first instinct will be to catch the wool like this. This is something you maybe teach them from the very beginning, that the wool is alive. It needs very delicate handling. So the more that you fluff up this wool, the easier it'll be to felt. So we've got quite a fluffy piece of soap, fluffy piece of wool there, and we've got our dry bar of soap. And here I've got some water, just some nice warm water. I'm dipping the soap into the water, and then I'm placing the wet soap on the edge of the wool, and I've pulled out that wool to make a sort of a fine little splay of wool, and then I'm very gently catching it over the top and rolling. I'm rolling to the very end, again just pulling out that nice and wispy, you can see it's very fine, and I'm just going to tuck over those ends. Now there may be places that I haven't completely covered it and you may be able to see the soap through still. Don't worry about that at this stage, we have other layers to put on it. The most important thing before you wet it is to put it into the net to protect it from you. So I've dipped, holding the top, and I've left a little space here because if I go very, very close and I work it very, very close, I'll end up with the tail on the inside. And that's a great way to make a mouse, but not a great way to make felted soap. So to start with, I'm just in my hands, just rolling it, just getting it nice and soapy. And I'm using the piece of net to cause friction, and what that's doing is it's making it all nice and sudsy. This is great fun for the children if they're refusing to wash their hands regularly. This is probably about the cleanest craft you can get at the moment. And so I'm just turning it over in my hands, and you can see that there's lots of soap. I love this part of it. I think we don't play with soap enough, and I think we undervalue what the sense of play with soap and water really is. So I've taken it out of my net, and it's all beginning to come together quite well. I can see one or two little areas here where I don't have a huge amount of wool on it. I could continue with this particular colour and not put anything else on, but what I'd like to do is add another little bit of colour. Now the secret is, I've got wet soapy hands. Don't try and handle the wool at this stage. Always have a towel beside you, and I'm drying my hands because it's very, very difficult to make the wool fine when you're using wet hands. So my hands are dry, the wool is not sticking to me, so I'm able to fluff this out quite a bit. Now I think I'll add a little tiny bit of this lime. I love this lime. It certainly makes me think of lemon and lime when I think of the lemongrass soap. This is a good colour, and you can see it's a little bit windy on the platform. The wool's flying a little bit around, and I just want to get my wet soap and at the edge of where I'm going to be working, and I'm just very gently, almost like it's a little creature, just bringing that wool over the surface, very gently taking the wool right around. And I think I'll probably be happy enough with this as a pattern. But again, before I handle this, I put it back into my net. I dip the whole net into the water, squeezing off the excess, unless you want to wash yourself at the same time. And remember, it's just soap and water. It's a bit of fun. It doesn't matter if the floor gets wet. It's a good way to clean the floor. It's a good way to clean the table. Perhaps if you've got a beautiful wooden table, I would suggest maybe putting a cover on top to protect it. So again, that lovely sound of friction, which is what this net gives me. And this is a net I use for lots of my different projects. It's a windproof membrane, also known as debris netting in the building site, and I use this exclusively to protect my wool from me. So it's had a chance to go on, and you can see that it's decided the pattern it wanted to make itself. It's quite firm on here, so all I'm doing now is I'm just taking this round and round quite firmly. I'm squeezing quite firmly on this, and you can see my suds level is growing. And that's wonderful for my washing. When my towels get wrapped in this later on and they all get popped in the washing machine for a clean up, I don't need any detergent or anything. The soap I have in here is enough. So I could put pattern still on it, but once I get to a certain stage, you won't be able to add any more wool because everything here has begun to felt and nothing else will attach to it. So I'm checking my soap, I'm checking that there's no raw pieces that might be sticking out, and I'm just continuing to felt it. Every now and then, if it needs heated up, I'll pop it into my bowl. And you have to expect one thing that always happens with felt. Before it begins to full, the wool is actually stretching a little bit. So once you dip it in water, you'll see that it possibly isn't as well felted as you thought it was with lots of soap in it. So I'd suggest to dip it in water several times to be sure that it's really, really well felted. And this is a lovely, lovely meditative way. You just let the soap work around in your hand. And of course the round bar is an awful lot nicer to work with than a square bar, but any shape is possible to felt. And do be kind to yourself. Use a nice soap. I'm very, very fortunate that I've Carney Soapery near us. However, you may have a small business that is a soap maker near you who makes quite organic soap or possibly low impact on the environment. And I'd urge you to use them rather than using generic soap that maybe uses a lot of chemicals and a lot of scents that can often agitate the skin. So I'm pretty much there with this, and you can see that there's lots and lots of soap suds. So now the stage I'm going to is to dry it off and just have a little look. So I'm just patting it inside in my towel, and I'll get a better idea of how well that wool is felted. So when I open it up, I check that any of this is still a little bit loose on the edges. So I'm just flicking it with my finger just to make sure. If it lifts up quite a bit like this is really quite a big lift up, I'll need to cover it with another little bit of net and just scrub away at it for a little while. So we make sure at this stage that everything is really, really well attached to it. You can end up with lumps and bumps. It's possible to trim them off. It's possible to use a little felting needle placed sideways so that you can get the wool without damaging the soap. And that's a lot better. So again, we have a really, really nice soap and nice colours. That would be really pleasant. That would cheer you up in the morning if you woke up, went to the sink, think, I've got to wash my hands again. That would actually cheer you up. So I hope you've enjoyed the method that I've shown you of felting these soaps. And of course there are so many different ways. This is just one way that I use. And the soaps are available on our website separately, and of course the kits. And inside in the kits though there's one soap, you choose your soap, there's a whole range of fibres in there, so possibly you've enough to fill 2 or 3 bars of soap. Remember, you can contact me by email if you have any questions or if there's specific colours you want. I hope that helps you. Thank you very much. Bye.